Good morning. This is Rachel with Infused Meadows. I'm going to be preserving some potatoes. I'm going to do these possibly two ways. And so I didn't know if anybody, would like to learn. But, in the event you have potatoes sitting around that you don't want to lose. And so this is one of the many options that you can do to extend the shelf life of your potatoes. So my husband and I, we grow a lot of things, and potatoes are one of them. So we harvested these back in September of this last year, obviously. And I do have several more boxes of these that I need to do, because what we did was I separated these in large potatoes, medium, and then small. And so these are the ones that I marked as small, as you can see. And so I do still have, I think I ended up with 2 boxes of small. We ended up with 138 pounds total of potatoes. Now we've used quite a bit, but we've used maybe a half of that. And so before they start trying to seed off, which right now they're fine, they're not soft, we're still good, they should still have a couple months on them. And the trick to that is you're not supposed to wash your potatoes. You pull them from the ground, you set them out, you let them dry and cure for a week, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks, just depends on what you're doing and where at. Never let them cure in the sun, because when they do, or if sun hits them, you end up with, I don't know if you can see it, but a little green. And so I won't use the green, I will cut that off. But that's what you do, and then you put those into boxes with their dirt still on them. And then, like I said, we harvested these in September. I've just gone through with a toothbrush. So I have 2 things. I use either a toothbrush to help scrub things, or one of these nail cleaners. I find that works best to get into any nook and crannies that anything carrots, potatoes could have, radishes, and this gets them nice and clean and gets the dirt off of them. So just a tip, you can always also use these, if you got a stain on your laundry, just by using this to brush in your clockwise and then go counterclockwise with your laundry detergent. You'll see it develop a white foam, which is good, and then that usually will pull any deep stains that you have. But the trick is never dry anything that has a stain on it, or else you've just set it. So always when it's dirty, wet it, use a toothbrush, your laundry detergent, as long as you're using a good laundry detergent. These that are basically just a good smelling water will not get that clean. At that point, use a bar soap. Scrub this in there, and then rinse it. If it doesn't come out, repeat the process. Sorry, this is potatoes. There's your handy tip. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to show the whole thing because that's way too much and that's probably going to be too long of a video. I'm going to get all of these peeled, and then I'm going to grate them because I'm turning these into hash browns, okay? So I'll get them all peeled, I'll get them all grated, and then I will bring you back, okay? We'll be back. So I just wanted to very quickly take a few seconds just to say that if you're going to do this, make sure that you peel your potatoes. You don't have to, okay? You do not actually have to. You can wash them off really, really well. Make sure you scrub all the dirt off of them. And then you can take and just grate them. I choose to take the skins off. You can take your skins, as long as you've washed these really, really, really well, take anything that's bad off, okay, and set that aside. And then you can take your skins and you can either put them in a bag and put them in the freezer, and then the next time you've got some oil going, 365 degrees, 360 to 365, drop those skins in there. You'll have yourself a nice little treat. What I do is, once I'm done peeling, and I should have slowed down to show that. I did not. I apologize. Yes, I do own peelers. I've shown you a peeler in a few videos. I don't like peelers that much. I find that they're more work than they're worth. And I'm really not wasting any real skin. So I've been peeling potatoes with a knife since I was at least 13, maybe 14. So I've done this my whole life, basically. Anyway, what I do is any bad goes in a different section, and then you just take and you want to cut that potato in half. That way, if you have any bad, if you've got a bad center or a bad spot, you go ahead and cut that out, because you don't want that going into whatever you're making. Now, you can literally do these up like you would want to mash your potatoes. and you'll cook your potatoes in your pot. You'll get them to mashed potato ready. Mash those up. Don't add butter. Don't add milk. Don't add anything. Just mash them up really well. Spread those out on your trays, and you can dehydrate that. And then you have your own mashed potato powder. Kind of like stuff you buy at the store. You can make rings. One second. If you're somebody that likes au gratin potatoes, you can just slice these into rings, and you're still going to blanch, okay? So you'll still blanch these, but then you'll just dehydrate them, and then you'll put these in a jar until you're ready to put them together with some, you know, some seasoning mixes and some cheese, and make yourself some au gratin or some, really whatever you want to do with them. You can even soak those up and then turn around and fry them up in a skillet with some seasoning, and then you got fried potatoes. So if you want, but for these right now, I'm definitely hash browning these. So whatever does not fit on my tray will go into my freezer after I've put them through a towel. I'll probably use a flour sack towel, and I need to get as much water out of that as possible. And then, like I said, into the freezer. So I'm going to get back to this. I just wanted to give you that explanation and show you that you do need to cut those in half so you don't get a surprise later on. We'll be back. Also, potatoes oxidize. So that's why I'm putting them into water. I don't want them turning brown on me. And, you know, peeling potatoes is not exactly a 5-minute process. And that's why we cut them in down the middle. I can cut that at the end, cut the end off. So what I'll do is try to cut that out. I did. And then that way I can check the center of my potato as soon as I get it nice and peeled. Because, you know, that's what happens whenever you grow organically. You don't use anything on your stuff. The only thing I spray on my garden is just, it's a mix that I do that's water with I do 1 gallon of water with 2 teaspoons of mint extract and 2 tablespoons of Castile liquid soap. And then all that does is it masks my plants with the smell of mint. Keeps anybody's cat out of my garden from out there digging. It also keeps most of your bugs away because they don't like the strong smell of the mint. And that's really all I do. I mean, well, that's not true. I do plant nasturtium on the opposite side of my garden so that the nasturtium will draw the bugs. Whatever does, you know, like those white moths that lay eggs on everything. The nasturtium will draw those to it, and they'll lay their little green worms all over that instead of my cabbage or broccoli. Anyway, that's all I do. I just thought I'd share that too. Okay, we'll be back. So just to show you what I'm doing, in case you're curious, I got this little cheese grater off of Amazon. I love it. And this beats having to grate this by hand. If you have a food processor, feel free to use that. I do. This is a little bit quicker to clean up. And that's why I chose to do this one instead. So you just put your potatoes in there, get them so far down, use the masher that it comes with. And there you go. You have beautifully shredded potatoes. And then what I do is when I get my bowl, this one's slightly full, I then take and I put it in the bowl that you can barely see that's got water in it. And then from there I'll be moving this over so that I can get that other bowl done, and everything will sit in water because I need to get as much starch out of the potatoes as possible. It's not like I don't think it'll hurt the dehydrating process, but, you know, better safe than sorry, so to speak. Anyway, I wanted you to see how I was grating these. Like I said, if you have a food processor and you want to do that, go ahead. I just really did not feel like, you know, getting that out, getting that dirtied up, and then having to go through and wash all that when, for me, this right here is a lot easier to wash up. Okay? Alright, we'll be back. And just quickly, when you pull this apart or whatever grater that you're using, I've seen people do this and it just kind of drives me insane. So you see where your cutting ridges are, right? I mean, you see it. You take your hand and run it the opposite direction. You will not get cut. If you go that way, you're going to get cut, okay? And you can go inside, and as long as you're not dragging your fingers along these holes, the way that it cuts, you'll be fine. What I do is I take, after I get this nice and cleaned out, and I go to wash it, my hand and my washcloth go with the nubs, okay, not against. Against means you're getting cut. And then on the inside, I do like that. I go the same thing, okay? So that's just, hopefully that helps, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about washing any kind of grater because they get cut. Well, hopefully that helps you to not do that. All right. We'll be back. I'm going to rinse these out. So we're playing a game of musical bowls. What'll happen is I'm going to take a strainer over to the sink and I'm going to rinse these off. Okay. And I'm going to rinse them again. I'm going to rinse them until the water goes clear, and then we'll be back. One more thing. Don't forget to go ahead and turn your pot on high, because we want that to come to a boil. And we're going to be blanching these potatoes for 3 minutes. Okay, so you put them in batches, blanch them, and then once you're done, you're going to pull them out and put them into a bowl with ice cold water. Now, I've already cleaned my sink, both sides, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill both sides with cold water. That way, this will be my go-between. I will pull from my pot, put into this, and then put that into my ice cold water in the sink. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so my water is boiling, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the handfuls and just drop those straight into that water. Okay? And then what I'll do, I can't use a spider for this because they'll fall through, those wires. They're just not small enough. So what I'm going to do, I should say, is I've got this little sieve right here. So I'll dig out bulk with this, and then the little bit that, gets around the edges, I'll use this to dig those out so that I can be fairly quick, because I only want these to blanch for 3 minutes. So once my water comes up to a boil, that's when I'll set that timer for 3 minutes, and then I'll pull these out. I'll try to bring you back. I'm trying not to do too long of videos. I think 20 minutes is my, definite, seems to be my normal. But that's because, you can't show things in 5 minutes. Those that do, like I've said before, it leaves you wondering what else did they do? What did they not show you? Or you try to do it and you're like, well, I don't know if they, did they cream their butter with their sugar? Did they not? Did they, it leaves a lot of questions. So I'm trying to leave as little questions as possible. So I'll try to bring you back when I start scooping these out, but honestly, it's kind of self-explanatory. You scoop these out, you put them into your cold water, which I've got over here. So they'll go into this, and then from here, I have a sink full of ice cold water. So then I will put them into the sink so that I can keep this process going. Okay, I'll probably just bring you back when I've got all of these potatoes blanched and, setting in their water. So we'll be back. Real quick, I just wanted to let you know, I adjusted my time from 3 minutes to 2 minutes for the blanching because I normally use my hand grater. And this time, I use the other hand grater that you saw that I use for cheese. And I've seen that it actually grates these just a little bit thinner than the actual, my handheld cheese grater, the one you saw me using when I made slaw. So I've adjusted it to 2 minutes. So this will depend. If you're going thick, like this, do 3 minutes. If you're using the thing like what I'm using, go ahead and do 2 minutes. Okay? Just wanted you to know what's going on, and we'll be back. So, I've gotten all the potatoes done, and I got this off Amazon. It is a wine making, it's kind of like a muslin cloth, except for it's in bulk, right? So that you can put all your berries and stuff in here, and you can still, smush them, which is, you need to get as much water out of these potatoes as possible. So what I do is I turn to tighten this up, and I just kind of squeeze as best I can, because you don't want these going into your dehydrator soaking wet, because that'll take longer. So I've done that at the sink. I think I've gotten all the water out of them. And all we're going to do now, some people will put these on paper towels and let them set for, you know, a day or longer. I'm not doing that. I have things to do. As you've seen some of the things I've got to do. So I've squeezed out a lot of that water. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these on my tray. And I'll show you what what one looks like in case you can't see it. I'm not going to heap these on to where they're like 2 inches thick, but they do not need to be separated, okay? So I have 6 trays for my dehydrator. It is linked below. I got it off Amazon. I absolutely love my dehydrator. One second. Okay, now I've seen some people just drop and boil an entire potato and then grate it. Here's why I don't do that. The outside will be cooked faster than that center. And I don't want mashed, if I want mashed potatoes, I've already told you how to do that. You know, that's one thing. But I don't want half hash browns and half mashed potatoes. So this is the way I do it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The peeling and the grating and the blanching took me 3 hours. Okay, so what you're seeing in minutes took me 3 hours to do. But now, please remember, if you know, before you say, I'm not doing that, I did 2 large bowls of potatoes. Like, you saw how many I started out with. It's a lot of potatoes. So, you know, if you do these in smaller batches, it's not going to take you 3 hours. It's not. Okay? So don't freak out over the time. It's just now, you know, hopefully this does explain why I do some long videos. Because if you watch my video and you're like, well, she did it in 20 minutes. Why is it taking me an hour to make dinner? Well, because that's what it takes. I just, you know, nobody wants to watch an hour of me making dinner, especially when one video, you know, it may take me 3 videos to show you one dinner because I made this from scratch and that from scratch. And then those 2 things come together to make a dinner. And I've already been told that. Well, people don't want to watch 20 minutes, you know, times 4 videos. Well, I'm sorry. You can always go back and pick and choose the ones that you do like to watch. That way, if you're interested in something, go watch it. So anyway, we are at almost 18 minutes, and I don't want to ramble too long. So, this is what I have. Okay? So I'm going to do each tray the exact same way. Whatever will not go in my dehydrator, all I'm going to do is I'm going to spread these out on one of my cookie trays. And I'm going to put that into the deep freeze. And I'm going to let that freeze. Once it's frozen, I will then go through and vacuum seal them into individual portions. So don't heap those. You can always put them on your tray, lay some parchment paper down, put more on that parchment paper, and do it again. You can layer it if you need to in your freezer. Just don't put, you know, huge balls of mashed up hash browns in there, because, you know, if you're going to vacuum seal like I am, because that keeps the ice crystals off for longer, then, you know, you want to be able to put as much as you want into each individual bag. Okay? So, 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, I had to go look it up for Celsius. So you're going to do this at 52 degrees Celsius or 125 degrees Fahrenheit. It should take 8 to 10 hours as long as you've not gone too thick and you've not clumped these too high. Okay? But it takes what it takes. Okay? When they're done, you do the same thing I've told you to do in the other video where I showed you how to do that. Because I'm pushing 20 minutes. Alright. I hope that this, you know, helped at least in some way, shape, or form. And that's all I got for right now. I'm going to get ready as soon as I get this done and go straight into my dinner stuff. Because it's now well into the afternoon. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day, okay?